Coming up today on Locked On Texas Tech, deja vu, as we are back again wondering about the status of Behren Morton following a Week 1 win.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan, back for a reaction edition of Locked On Texas Tech. Week 1 now in the books. It was the Red Raiders doing Arkansas Pine Bluff every which way but right, 67-7, the final score. Good teams win, great teams cover. Always remember that. On today's episode, Chris, we're going to dive into a few things that stood out from the ball game. Of course, as you're all wondering, we'll hear from Coach McGuire on the quarterback, Behren Morton, and his status, get to some thoughts on what his Week 2 experience could be like. Also want to talk about what we saw from one of the groups that was probably under the microscope as much as any, that your group of ball carriers with the loss of Quentin Joyner. And, of course, a whole lot else that was, I would say, as advertised whenever it comes to some of the physical specimens now in Red Raider uniforms. But, Chris, let's begin our conversation with Coach McGuire talking about, well, rolling it out, game 1, and essentially being able to do exactly what they wanted to do. Here's Coach McGuire.
Exactly what we wanted to do coming into this game. You know, our expectation is that we were going to play really well early, and we were going to be able to get Will in the game, Mitch in the game, and our plan was to run the offense. You know, in this day and age, when it is a constant evaluation of the roster, then you have to do that. You've got to understand what you have, not only right now, but what you have a few weeks from now to months from now. So I was proud of the guys. I was proud of the way we ran the football. I thought we executed the ball, executed really well. I thought our, tempo-wise, it was a point that Will Jados and Howard Sampson at halftime said, hey, that tempo is for real, Coach. You know, we're sitting there and we're pancaking somebody, and Behren or Will's yelling gas, gas, gas to get the next play going. And so I was proud of that. Defensively, thought we pressured the quarterback. I will tell you, if those defensive tackles will stay in their lanes, which they did, but if they'll stay in their lanes, they're going to have an opportunity to hit the quarterback a lot, because those two edge guys between Mello and David Bailey, they put a lot of pressure on the quarterback and having to step up. So I'm anxious to see the stats whenever it's all said and done. But overall, it was good.
Essentially removed the issue from being in doubt very early on, and then gave themselves the luxury of being able to pretty well call the shot, I guess, the rest of the way out.
Yeah, Will Hammond may be your best running back based on I thought those poor tackles.
That was my big question for the finish, Chris. Is Will Hammond RB1?
Those poor UAPB offensive tackles had a long night. That was not a fair fight. And I think the tortilla toss at the beginning, it's like you can't really be penalized when it's one long, continuous tortilla throw that lasts minutes and minutes. It's like, you can't really warn somebody. Yeah, that's right. Gray area. But, man, the poor Golden Lions were just woefully outmatched. I mean, this was not – it's hard to, glean just too much. And we did learn that when you play football, people do get hurt. And that was – that's just part of it. And Mother Nature seemed to be a bit perturbed on Saturday night as well. So that kind of altered experience. They always say when you show up to an arena or a stadium or something, you'll see something for the very first time. And I never thought I'd experience 8-minute quarters in a college game, but we have now experienced that all together. So
I don't even know if I knew that was legal or possible.
Yeah, I'm with you. We were. In the midst of the delay, I'm like, okay, what are the options here? Do you just Can you just say, let's go home? Hey, everybody's good. Can you do the running clock thing if everybody agrees? And it's funny because Joey actually said after the game too that they could have called it at halftime. That was not the explanation that we were getting in that that wouldn't be considered an official game. So I don't know where the truth is. Coach may have been right, but we were kind of talking to the facilities people and the folks that were kind of coordinating all these things. But bottom line is they'd all agreed to, try to shrink this thing as long as everybody was on the same page, both athletic directors, both coaches, all those things. And so, it was a smart thing to do. But you started out hot, you maintained it. Our thoughts immediately just go to Behren Morton. That was like the one thing that I walked away from the stadium going, damn, here we go again, or poor guy. I mean, whatever you want to say. And I think that you actually texted me something in the middle of the game, and you're going to miss Taj Brooks's pass protection as much as anything that he could do for you. And I hope
Joe's been telling us all off season.
And this is this is part of why Quentin Joyner was going to be so big for you, because he was the one guy of these three backs that really was the do-it-all guy. You could keep him out there, and he was good at everything. And the other two are more specialized, if you will, or just not as polished with certain aspects of just that position. And I hope it didn't bite you, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But yeah, just glad to break the seal on this thing. It is funny because there were so many people I talked to yesterday. Talked to one player's parent. I talked to one of the folks that helped put this portal class together before the game. This was all before the game, and everybody was just so nervous. I'm like, you're a 52-point favorite. Why? But that's going to be the tone of this season, is that there's a lot of expectation. There's not a lot of margin for error. And you start watching other teams play, and you're like, man, other teams have a chance to win games too, and they have scholarships too, and NIL too, and you don't know what it's all going to look like until you get out there. But UAPB was not that was not much of not much opposition there, and I'm thinking you'll probably get the same next Saturday morning at the Jones as well. But we've got all week to kind of talk about that. But yeah, glad to see you do what you were supposed to do. 52.5-point favorite, I think, and yeah, you covered that, and even in a short
closed 55.5, I think, Chris. So for the sickest people in the audience who were sweating out some final points after an hour-and-a-half rain delay in front of 2,500 of our best Red Raider fans, I was thinking about you guys on Saturday night. Let's get this field goal. Let's get this whatever.
I had somebody toward the end of the game ask me, like, man, if you'd have bet on this, like, is it still official with the weird? And I said, man, I think if it's an official game,
right,
then I think it's that fine print on the back of that betting slip. And I said that, I'm like, man, I don't think many books would have taken this bet. Like, I don't know how many places you could have actually placed a wager online or not, but maybe that was very prevalent, as you knew that the spread had gone up. So, yeah, and like UAPB, I actually had this prepared in our pregame, and we had to punt on it just because we kind of ran out of time. But I was going to pitch to a clip that, Coach Hampton was super fired up about his running back, B.J. Curry. Had like 500 or 600 yards last year. They really thought that he would be kind of the catalyst of the offense. I don't think he was there. I don't think he showed up. I don't think he was in uniform. Nobody really got any explanation. And I think there were some missing jersey numbers or different jersey numbers. It was just kind of, but they were. I walked out at coin toss, and there were three Golden Lions, and one of them, I kid you not, was about 5'5", and he was like a deep snapper or a specialist or something. And I thought, I mean, this looks like, I was like, oh, this is not going to be a fair fight. And it wasn't. But that's hey, man, you salute, you move on. You try to glean some things from it if we can. And away we go.
Yeah. Enjoy the check. Thanks for coming out. Maybe use it to get some stickers for the helmets next year. That'd be a cool idea, I think, for any team. Yeah, I thought they were still using the practice helmets. Like, they hadn't even awarded a roster spot yet to these boys. I guess when I'm watching them warm up pregame, they're still waiting to get into the locker room to find out who's going to get the real thing. But you told us this coming into it. We know the difference between the FBS, FCS. I think Mother Nature told you how she felt about these games. And I also think moving forward, every FCS matchup should only have 8-minute quarters. So let's see if we can adjudicate that possibly in the future. But yeah, the size, I watched a good share of high school football on Friday night, as I'm sure you got a dose of it too, Chris. And I saw some more imposing lineups in West Texas on the high school level than I did, I think, for UAPB. So God bless them. Enjoy the cash. Thanks for coming out. Kind of surprised that we didn't get a call at halftime. I got to be honest. And just the scattered conversation I was picking up was you need an agreement between ADs or presidents or both or whatever. And it seemed like maybe there was more of a desire from UAPB to call it, but Tech wanted to get their work in. I don't know where all the truth lies, but either way, we got it in. So there you go.
Happy medium. Maybe let's not call it, but let's shrink it. So maybe there's a happy medium because there was nobody.
Terry wasn't there because that was never a name I called or heard one time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it would have been a surprise if that was the guy actually carrying the ball every time, because I called Holcomb's name, incomplete pass, completed pass, for I don't know, about an hour and a half before they let me know that's Peters, even though there's a guy listed wearing number 13 as Holcomb playing quarterback on the roster. So it made sense when I saw him taking snaps. Yeah. But I was wrong. It's a week one kind of process. All right. I'm trying to get Limber back up too. My bad to the Holcomb or the Peters family. Chris, let's get to this thought from Coach McGuire talking about the name you already mentioned. And of course, the first name I think on everybody's minds. First, today's episode brought to you by The Game. Quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time, sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, say in the 80s or the 90s, what hat do you see yourself wearing? Could it be this slick-looking lid I'm rocking right now from The Game? Yes, that's the correct answer. It would definitely be this one. These aren't just hats. They're the vintage Americana we grew up with, the same style fans wore in the days of our youth. And guess what? They still go for the same price now that they did back then. Just go to thegamecaps.com and use our code LOCKEDON, and you're getting this classic tech cap for only $16.99. Again, that's at thegamecaps.com with our promo code LOCKEDON for this vintage Red Raider lid and a whole lot more for only $16.99 right now at thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or circle retro design and use our code Locked On for an exclusive discount, because legends only wear the game. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app, so before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. And of course, the first name I think on everybody's minds as we're kicking open this week, that being number 2, Behren Morton here again as Coach McGuire.
I feel good about where Behren is. It was nothing is broken. Feel like it's all muscle as far as like hyperextension of his knee, and the pain kind of ran down the outside of that calf and shin area. But the docs feel good about it, and so if they feel good about it, I feel good about it. Glad he's okay.
Is it here we go again? Not quite. I'm sure all Tech fans wondering the same thing this week.
I think there's reason to worry. I wish that there wasn't, because there's some unknown there still. So here's how this played out from my vantage point. you could see this play happening like slowly, and you thought, oh no. I mean, because Behren just doesn't see him, and it was a free rush, and then Cam Dickey just gets over there late and just barely gets a hold of him, but it was low, and Behren just can't. He's just kind of stuck, and it looked bad. I mean, I've seen some still shots, and obviously rewatched the play over and over again, and I actually watched Behren after he had come back out watch it himself, and he's like, ooh, like he's watching the replay of himself. So he goes to the locker room, and you're just not real sure what we're looking at here. He did walk to the locker room fairly gingerly, came back out in uniform, and seemed to be in good spirits. After we get to, because this is about at the 10-minute mark ish in the second quarter is when this happened. He was, I think, 16 of 18 at the time, 4 touchdowns. So he looked great. He looked crisp. It looked good. The ball was going down the field. I think the zip was there. People kind of could see the difference in his arm strength and all those things. And I just hate that this happened. I think a lot of people are probably, hating that this happened. So he comes back out after halftime, and the uniform's off, and that's when he was still kind of smiling and everything, but it was a noticeable limp. So here's what, like a hyperextension, is it like a knee or hamstring or calf or something, or is it a nerve issue? I don't know, but tons of the guys were coming up to him, checking on him, and you can read body language pretty good. It seemed like, hey man, I'll be all right, kind of thing. But you won't ultimately know until, because we're sitting here talking on a Sunday. How did he get up and feel today? What further testing are they going to do? And we won't know, because I'm just going to say, as I'm talking to you right now, it's not going to surprise me if he misses the next game or whatever. However, I do think that this isn't like a long-term problem. Like, I think you dodged a bullet there. So I don't know what like this week has in store. It wouldn't shock me. But that's just really where my thoughts were. As him and
I think
Dingle.
you're echoing everybody's.
Yeah.
And also including the week 2 thought. Like, where do we push it with this type of matchup coming up?
Yeah. No, I think that's, you don't need Behren Morton to beat Kent State. Kent State just beat Merrimack 21-17, I guess it was. They snapped a 21-game losing streak. They did so with a kickoff return by Dorillist. That's his real name. Right. Yeah. With like 4 or 5 minutes to go, that's ultimately what won them the game. And I think I had the right score there, but yeah. So I don't know what you'll get on that. I don't know what. I'm sure, obviously, Monday tomorrow when we hear from Joey and everything like that, then that would be the first questions asked, would be my guess, and maybe Joey will just come right out with it, with kind of update everybody. But he told me when we went to halftime, I said, Coach, you're up, because what was the score at halftime, to be sure? It was like, it was 47-0. And like, hey man, hot start, it's about all you could have asked for. And I said, man, I hate to do this right out of the gate, but I was like, your quarterback did come back out of the locker room. Is he okay? And he said, yeah, man, he's good. He's good. And he kind of set my mind at ease. But then when I saw him come back out of the locker room, it was just, it's a noticeable limp. This wasn't like, he's got a little hitch in his giddy up. No, he was limping. And there's sometimes when a quarterback, whether it's a muscle strain, or there's sometimes when you can just hit some parts where there's like can be some deadening. I got hit by a softball one time, and and it's like you just like my leg won't work. like what's going on? And it takes
happens to a lot of guys.
Yeah. That's right. So
I guarantee you this medical diagnosis today, he is a sore son of a gun at minimum, right? Because that leg's not supposed to go that way.
And I don't know if you're looking at like the glass half full. Thankfully, there's no shoulder or elbow or collarbone. There's none of those issues. This is all just so.
God, it's just such a sickening feeling. I know for everybody in the building, him, family,
and it wasn't his fault.
fan.
I mean, it's not like he's running down the field, get down, or whatever. And I saw somebody say, "Man, just take a sack." This is happening so fast. I don't think it's just a free rush.
Could have done, I don't think.
No, I don't put that on
like
him
you
at all.
Already pointed out when the play began, and you see which way he's looking, and then what's coming at him. Holy crap! It was one of those instant at the snap moments where you're thinking, okay, here comes a car crash. So what's the guy going to do other than hopefully pick up some protection, which didn't happen. And again, is just a reminder of the slack that's there to be picked up with the absence of Tosh Brooks. But yeah. I looked at the time. I got to be honest with you, almost immediately. I thought, what do we get? An hour of feel good, happy, fun times for Behren Morton this year? Did we get 45 minutes? And the other frustrating thing about it, and again, I understand certainly for him, chief among all of us, frustrated by this and pissed off about it or whatever. But Chris, we're really not going to know, as you alluded to already, for maybe a number of weeks. Like, how's he progress? How's he feeling? What's the health percentage? I feel like we're back in that kind of conversation.
I know.
Not that he's missing real time, but where's he really at? We're going to be asking that for a little while.
Yeah. And really, we already knew this, but so much of what you've got going on here just builds to September the 20th or 19th, whatever it is, week 4. Yeah. Oregon State got worked over by Cal. Kent State's one of the worst Division I teams in the country, and so you've basically got, as we sit here now, close to 3 weeks to kind of figure it out before that Utah game is played, and that looks like it's going to be a monster clash that is going to be of utmost importance in Texas Tech's chances to do what they want to do this year. Utah as well, and whether it's UCLA is just really bad, I don't know, but Utah handled their business in Los Angeles, and so that's what it all points to. So we'll just kind of see where we go from here. But yeah, somebody's got to play, and you put guys out there, and it's football. I mean, stuff happens. But I just feel bad because really the two guys we're talking about, I mean, Behren and Dingle both have just dealt with some stuff, and I don't think that last night either one of them was just their fault. It's just like one of those things where stuff happens. And
can we touch on Dingle a little further? First, today's episode brought to you by Rugiet. Boys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them, but if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to get Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify brain stimulation and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in only 15 minutes. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. So head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use our code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege, and use our promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Yeah, can we touch on Dingle a little further for those who didn't catch that? Because I think he makes it off the field in the moment, right? But then we got a cart involved, and his story is a lot different than Behren Morton's. Sounds like.
I think you're unfortunately you're very right there. Knee issue. It looks like what they were working on, and he's a different guy. I think he's kind of like a very energetic, kind of emotional guy. This was playing out with his after this had happened, he wasn't doing well. And I didn't like what I saw there. He was having a hard time, whether it's processing or the pain of what had happened. And then you just see the reactions, and it doesn't give you a good feeling about where this is. My thought we'll see if what they tell everybody. But my thought is, yeah, that may have been bad. He was just in tears, and when the card has to come out, that just like for the official, that's not a good situation. Anytime you see those guys, that guy get over on that table and there's a team full of doctors over there.
Yeah.
That's usually not good.
Yeah, they ain't making dinner plans.
No, and like he didn't come back out, right? And obviously Behren did. So not that that's the end all be all. Sometimes bad things can happen, and they do come back out and watch the game or whatever. But yeah, I certainly some thoughts with Mikhail Dingle because so, but this is. I don't know exactly what you'll do at Star other than John Curry now, who you thought we can move him around in different places, but now maybe that's more permanent. And then AJ McCarty, and now they've got to figure out, kind of another option at Star, it would appear. That's going to be my guess, but you immediately see why the Mitch Griffiths ad was so crucial. Just he could go from third string to being one play away from being in a meaningful game as quick as this weekend. We just don't know. But that's why, like, having him, because Lloyd Jones, your true freshman quarterback, wasn't cleared for. He was out for the first one. He's a big old tall kid, by the way. He looked good looking sucker, man. He's probably 6'3". Them is like we had a quarterback like that upright, that tall, and a bit, it seems. But these are why some of these subtle roster additions you made, are that there was a reason for that. They're insurance policies, if you will. But yeah, I hate to be a downer. There's so many good things that happened and everything like that. But that's just, if I'm just being honest, those were my takeaways from. Because I think I said something on. Somebody asked me, "Hey man, what do you want to see tonight?" I'm like, crisp performance by Behren, a shutout, and come out injury free. Well, I think you did get a crisp performance from Behren while he was in there, and that was just in like a little over a quarter. I mean, 16 of 18, super efficient, crisp, 4 touchdown passes, the whole thing. And you almost got the shutout. There were some of those defensive guys at the very end of that game when that the third stringers were in there and they gave up that touchdown. They were like, "Man, you sold me, dog." That chatter. And then the injury free thing. That's just where my mind took me but somebody's got to go out there and play. So anyway, yeah, that fingers crossed that we get good news, and we'll just kind of see what Coach McGuire tells everybody.
Yeah, thank God that guy dropped that wide open touchdown too. I don't know why 14 hurts so much more than 7. 7 hurts a lot more than 0, but I was glad that dude went butterfingers on us there to wrap it up. To wrap this up, Chris, a couple more minutes left, and we'll continue, of course, our reaction with some of the things that I think were just on a billboard obvious. Size, physical renovation as far as the stature of these guys in Red Raider uniforms this year. I want to get into that. Coming up on tomorrow's episode. A lot of those guys on the defensive side of the football, you alluded to the trouble that those offensive tackles were in time and time again from UAPB, so clearly want to talk about that. And some of those pass catchers, I want to visit with you on tomorrow's episode as well. But before we get out of here, I was just curious to ask you about the running back hierarchy that we sort of saw as far as time or snaps and carries. I guess I was maybe viewing this as more of a Jacoby Williams-led outfit. He was doubled up carries wise by Dickey. I don't want to make too much of anything in this game, but what did you make of sort of how between those two the ebb and flow of snaps went?
I think Jacoby Williams is best cast as a change of pace back. I think if you were forced to do this, then you would just he could be the lead back if this was but I just think he's the change up. And so I don't know if he was ever really going to be the guy that got the majority of the carries. It's just because of his size. Look, he's as tough as they come. I think you see the athleticism. The kid's a freak. Yeah. And, I mean, but with all the gifts that he has, he's 185. And I think you're just gonna it's a put him in there in spurts kind of thing. And so Cam Dickey got 12 carries to Jacoby's 6. Is that am I right there?
Yep.
And you know, not to move on, but I mean, you saw Adam Hill, kind of the Mike Allstott thing kind of going there, where it's just like, hey man, get out of my way. I've got somewhere to be. Just get off me, man. So he kind of, and that may have been a lot of UAPB talking to, but I think that's just kind of Adam Hill's running style. There is, you know, there is the Roy Alexander card that they could play if ever needed, but this is what you're going to look at right now. I think it's Cam Dickey, you know, I guess lead back if you want to do that. And Jacoby is kind of the change of pace guy, which is why I would have told you prior to the Quentin Joyner, it would have been Quentin Joyner in the lead role, the do-it-all guy. Jacoby Williams as a change of pace, and Cam Dickey would have been in the Adam Hill role. Probably would have played more than Adam Hill will going forward, but that you get the hierarchy as I see the verbiage on the screen there. So that's kind of, and Cam, you know, look, he ran well. I think he's got some in between the tackles to him. I think he's very matured, and people will tell you, you know, we talked about this on the broadcast that, you know, Joey was like, nobody was excited about Quentin Joyner, but you could just see that Cam was kind of carrying himself differently after it happened, because he knew, okay, man, now people are counting on me, and now I'm going to have to produce here, and I've got to do all the things, and you're, you know, it's just the little stuff about pass protection and taking care of your body and just all the things that are going to now be expected of him. And it's just a lot to ask for a true sophomore with all this going on. And I still am going to worry about short yardage scenarios until you prove otherwise. That's just going to be the one thing that I'm a bit curious about as we go when the games start to get meaningful and tougher, and you go against legit competition. But not on this night, it wasn't a problem.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate some time to react to this win, and we got a big one cooked up next time around, because we've also got to talk about a big weather delay edition. Each lightning delay comes with a 5-star offensive lineman. You got to love that, and I can't wait to see what Mother Nature's cooking up next Saturday. But we will get to this huge edition, 5-star added again by Texas Tech to kick off the week on the next episode. And we'll continue to pour over some of what we saw Saturday night at the Jones. But we got one now in the books, Chris. So looking forward to getting ready for week 2. Kent State for an AM breakfast beer kind of kickoff next time around. So we'll see you for the next one.
Might even be some Red Bull involved in this edition story too. So we'll elaborate on the next edition of Locked On Texas Tech. Keep hope alive, people.
That's right. Who shot JR? What a cliffhanger. For Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Thanks for being out there. As always, get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks to the Everydayers for always riding along. And thanks to the Matador Mob for being out there as well. Shout out to those who joined me for a backyard patio post-game live reaction. Mob exclusive, Chris. I brought them into my home where I sleep and play with my toys. And we're going to do it again, I think, in days to come. I think we turned off the switch about 1 a.m. Sunday morning, and there was plenty still assembled. So it's good to see that the sickness is still running very deep through that group. The Matador Mob. Hit the show notes and find the link for a free 14-day trial if you're interested in joining that crew. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text and straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks as always for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.